What's up, everyone? My name is Maximilian, and you're watching episode 15 of Street Fighter X Tekken, The Online Warrior. Once again, we're back with more Street Fighter X Tekken, more of the Online Warrior, and a bunch more of Ogre and Ken. As you guys might have seen in the past, I used a lot of different characters before. More notably, I was a really big fan of Yoshimitsu. I really wanted to get used to using Jin and other characters like Kazuya, stuff like that. But I really am really happy with Ken and Ogre at the moment, especially since that's about to rapidly change. For a lot of you guys that know, and the time this video is going up, tomorrow is when all the characters are going to be released for Street Fighter X Tekken. The quote-unquote DLC characters that were on the disc the whole time are finally going to be made available to the public. So I'm going to get my hands on a lot of the guys that I wanted to be using for the majority of time that I've known about Street Fighter X Tekken, like Dudley and Cody, Guy, Lars especially. I'm going to be making a lot of new teams and offering a lot of more coverage with those characters. So we're at this kind of interesting point now with Street Fighter X Tekken where when I keep hearing about this game in the competitive perspective, and the perspective of a lot of people that, you know, are used to the competitive environment, it doesn't hold up very well, and Street Fighter X Tekken is the talking point of a lot of scrutiny. However, with a lot of other people, there's a lot of guys that really like Street Fighter X Tekken. A lot of people that ongoing throughout the history of me providing videos for this game, despite the amount of hate that it gets, people that actually provide a lot of input saying that there's still a great majority of people that like Street Fighter X Tekken and the gameplay, and they like it more than other games. I don't know if that's because of like its ease of usability or just several different factors, the gameplay that, you know, makes it more desirable than some other games, but nonetheless, it does still have a backing and a lot of people that do enjoy watching it. And for the people on my channel, it seems to get a decent amount of attention. So I'm more than down for making videos of this game because, to be honest, and I've said this many times before, I like Street Fighter X Tekken. I like some of the design aspects of the game, and I really dislike some of them as well. There's some things in the game like the gems and the way gems were eventually designed to be used that are very like misleading, that were very misleading when we heard about gems and ended up being not good at all. Luckily that stuff's getting patched fairly soon, and I think with even the patch and update that's coming tomorrow, that the auto block gems and the extreme amount of, you know, people that are using them are going to be nerfed pretty hard. So I hope that happens. I absolutely hope that does happen, because when I jump into ranked in this game, sometimes it can just be littered with people that are using the ultimate defense gem, I think, as it's called, and that's really disheartening, man. Every time you see moments like that, I can't help but get upset, and it does not make me want to play the game anymore. But then there's a lot of other people that don't use that stuff. A lot of people that just play the game straight as it is. They didn't buy DLC gems. They just went in and got the. They just want to have the regular gems, and they just use that as it goes. I found myself using like meter gems and defense gems the most of anything, maybe a power gem here or there, but it's all the default stuff, and I don't think I'll ever actually purchase gems. I see no reason to actually go and buy gems in this game, because the game can still be played without gems, and several people still do that because that's how tournaments run it, if you can find people actually still joining tournaments for Street Fighter X Tekken. But I don't know, I think all that is kind of about to change. I think that the perspective that Capcom is taking with this game, that they messed up hard with the vanilla version of Street Fighter X Tekken, and that they're going to fix it, I hope. At least that's what Ayano definitely comes across as saying in a lot of the videos and the interviews that he's been in. And I hope that's the case, because I see potential with this game system, and I really like the overall system of Street Fighter X Tekken. And I don't know, like when you play games, and especially fighting games, things just click. Like every once in a while, you just come across a fighter where it just makes sense as soon as you put your hands on it. And that was Street Fighter X Tekken for me. Even before all these gems and all this other crazy stuff was actually in the game, when I played it at E3 last year, something about the game just made sense to me, more so than like Street Fighter 4 did. It took me a long time to grasp Street Fighter 4, and for the time that I was playing it early on in the vanilla version of Street Fighter 4, I got pretty good at it, and was able to hold up on a competitive level, and was actually winning on a competitive level. However, I just never felt really comfortable with the game because I came from mostly a Third Strike background. Now that's a completely different fighting game when you compare things to like Street Fighter X Tekken. X Tekken is similar to Street Fighter 4 in the fact that it's a very footsie fighter, and it still has evolved to be that, although there are some moves that can definitely move their take the footsie game out of it completely with certain characters like hurricane kicks and stuff like that. What's funny is that the playstyle I have, I don't know if the Hurricane Kick will adjust, like change how I play a lot, because all I really use the Hurricane Kick, you know, the bit what they're nerfing is the hitbox on it. The fact that if somebody jumps in with the Hurricane Kick, you can't, it's very hard to hit them, and they usually cross up in the air or something like that. It essentially will make the Hurricane Kick similar to its Street Fighter 4 iteration, where it's used for Vortex type stuff. It's used like where Akuma will Vortex you up, or Ken will Vortex you up, stuff like that. But the Vortex is much more prevalent in this one, and I kind of like how the roll negates it. You have to make the choice between the two, but with the Hurricane Kick getting nerfed, I primarily used it as a cross-up tool, as that tool where you get to the other side of your opponent and making them block on the opposite side within a very small time frame. Like within a half second, you have to realize, oh, it's not going to hit me on this side; it's going to hit me on that side. That's what I liked about it. So I don't really have a problem with them nerfing the hitboxes and like the plus and negative frames of Hurricane Kicks. So I'm kind of down for that. We'll see how it goes. I'm still definitely going to be using Ken when all these new characters come out and combining him with many other characters. So we'll see. But I just want to talk about the progress of the game and where we're at right now and where the community is at right now, like I was mentioning. So Street Fighter X Tekken didn't have the biggest showing at EVO. It definitely wasn't the most popular of titles because some strategies seem to be very strong, and those strategies end up being very boring at the same time. The way the game is played out with those certain characters and strategies like, you know, Rolento and Hugo and stuff like that, you see the same thing just over and over and over again. And I think that's the big reason why a lot of people don't find Street Fighter X Tekken entertaining to watch, is because many of the lead-in combos in this game end up being ABC 1, 2, 3, light, medium, heavy. You know what I mean? You go light, medium, heavy, heavy, and you tag in your next character. You see that on every single person in the game, since it is like the universal chain combo. Even in games like Marvel vs. Capcom, you don't see, you know, light, medium, heavy on the ground, launch, medium, heavy special in the air for everybody. Sure, that works with everybody practically, but at the same time, there's a lot of variation to actually get way more damage out of your combos. And mostly Street Fighter X Tekken combos for a lot of the casting characters start with like an ABC launcher, which I think is just an awkward design decision. I would actually like to see an adjustment to the chain combo system, where you actually add linking into it in some way. But I like the fact that this game still has links, and for the people that actually want to get more damage out of their combo, they started off differently than going into a chain. It's only good that the chain combo doesn't do as much damage as link combos, because it encourages people to get better at doing the harder combos. But it's weird how it's evolved to this point where the chain combos ended up being extremely powerful, because a lot of them with certain characters, and the really powerful characters, are completely safe. Like, you can go into any chain combo from like any distance with these few characters, and they're just completely fine at the end of using their chain combos. So that's where a lot of the metagame of Street Fighter X Tekken has gone, is how safely can you throw out these attacks and have them link into something, and then you hit confirm into a combo that links your next character in. So I don't know, it's really weird how they're changing all these minor, not really minor, but they're doing character adjustments right now with like jabs and Hurricane Kicks and all this stuff. And now we're going to have all these characters coming tomorrow, and who knows if these guys are going to need balance adjustments according to, you know, how they're going to be balanced for the new game or stuff like that. I'm kind of curious to see where the game is going to go at this point, because I had the chance to finally jump into some ranked with Street Fighter X Tekken, and I hit a big personal goal of mine, which was to hit 10,000 BP and to eventually get the B+ ranking. I don't know where A exactly comes in, but it's probably somewhere down the line. This is all on my Xbox account, by the way. As you guys are watching right now, this was during the run that I was making to get that 10,000 BP before at least the new characters came out. And luckily I hit it. I don't know why, it's just, with a lot of the competition, you get into a fighting game early on and you can build a lot of points really quick because people don't know how to play the game, but I didn't get that opportunity with Street Fighter X Tekken because I was very busy. So I started off, I got like 3,000, 4,000 points online, and then it took me a very long time to build the rest because the level of competition around me was full of people that had been playing significantly more time than I have with this game. And that's the challenge of being an editor and being like a producer like myself, is the fact that you kind of have to sacrifice, you know, your love of the game minus playing the game. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes, and you have the community leveling up around you so fast, and you're trying to keep up with them. You can keep up with them on a knowledge standpoint, but on a physical execution and muscle memory standpoint, it's something totally different. So I do try to keep up, and luckily I've gotten to that point now where I feel fairly comfortable with my team in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I like Ken, I like Ogre, I like the synergy they have together, and I like both the characters a lot. And I'm really glad I ended up choosing these guys. I only hope that with the new characters coming out and the adjustments that are being made to the game, that characters like Yoshimitsu will get a little bit of attention, because is there anybody else that's a Yoshimitsu fan? Like, I specifically really like Yoshi in this game, because he's his Tekken 3 iteration, and I played so much Tekken 3 back in the day, you would not believe. Way more than I have of any of the current day fighters. It's just, I put so much time into fighting games back in the day when I was taking this stuff really seriously on a competitive level that I'm attached to a lot of these old games and old characters, so I want Yoshimitsu to be at least halfway decent, and it is very hard to be good with Yoshi when he does not have any extremely reliable anti-airs or decent movement or mobility or good normals. I think he might actually have some of the worst normal attacks in the game, and normal attacks are what make you decent in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, how you're able to link and chain your combos or chain your attacks from one to the other and make them safe at the end. So it's one of those things. I would love to see some adjustments made to the more underappreciated cast members of the original vanilla cast, like Yoshi. I'd like to see them make some adjustments to some other cast members, see if they do anything to Hugo. But what's funny is that I don't think I've run into more than a few Hugos in the past, like, 30 games I've played in Street Fighter Cross Tekken Online. Once you actually get to the higher ranks and you get to people that are actually making solid teams, you see a lot of Rolentos still, you see an extravagant amount of Ryus, you see an abundant amount of Rufuses, but every once in a while you see, actually I would say Juri is a pretty common character as well, but you don't see many others. Heihachi is very much around still. Heihachi's definitely a very popular character, and then you got guys like Kazuya, which are obviously some of the best in the game, and Kazuya is one of those dudes that just has amazing link and chain combos, and he just can almost do anything. So we're at this point where, like, the very obvious aspects of Street Fighter Cross Tekken and what makes characters good is on the table, and we see what it is, we see what makes them good. I'm wondering if it's going to be something completely different with these new characters. I'm really curious to try out all these new guys and new girls in the cast and see what is exactly making them different from the characters of original. So I think there's a lot to look forward to with the new characters of this game, and it might actually change the way a lot of folks play the game, if not how the game is taken perspective-wise. But beyond that, I'm really hoping they make some severe gameplay adjustments to, like, how Pandora works. At this point, you know, it might sound awfully, you know, odd for me to say this, especially for the fact that I come from the old school fighting game scene where I grew up with fighting games that did not have comeback mechanics at all. Like, the only comeback mechanic you had was the fact that when you got hit, you gained a little bit of meter, but not very much, and in order to get meter, you had to work for it. And in this game, there's no direct comeback mechanic in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. You can consider Pandora a technical comeback mechanic, but it's not to the point of which it's practically useless, and it's an extremely situational mechanic in the game. I like to see Pandora actually be a comeback mechanic. At this point, considering what Street Fighter Cross Tekken has become in the spotlight of people absolutely hating it and some people enjoying it, I'd like to see Pandora actually be used as not as powerful as something like X Factor, but something more to the point of, I would say, Street Fighter 4's Ultra Meter, where you have a specific bar that you only gain if you take hits. I think with that mentality, you gain something by being, you know, by actually exchanging damage between your opponents. You don't gain it just for being offensive, you gain it by doing something else that already happens in the fight, you know what I mean? Either by taking block stun, or nonetheless, something that builds a meter that gives you the ability to potentially have a comeback at the very end, and your opponent has to be aware that they can't do that very often. I don't know. It just seems like that might be the best way to add a little bit of hype, a little bit of excitement, and a little bit of, I would say, viewability to a game that is very lost amongst a competitive scene that is very much into the other few fighters out there right now, which is like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And the Street Fighter 4 games. I'm talking about the Capcom side of, like, the FGC, the guys that are really into the Street Fighter games and the Capcom legacy of fighters, which is kind of me at the same time. I dig other fighters, but I'm really into Capcom games because I like the characters. That's what really does it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you think that Street Fighter Cross Tekken should possibly get a comeback mechanic, lay down the line. But until then, tomorrow I'm going to have several bits of coverage detailing the brand new characters, going over some trials, going over some combo explanations, and figuring out how to use some of these new guys I've been really looking forward to using, like I've been saying over the past few episodes of The Online Warrior. But until then, thank you all very much for watching. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you next time.